Hey guys, Steinixos here. So today we'll be discussing how strong a Wano Sanji is. Now, I've been wanting to make this video for quite a while because quite a few people have been drastically underestimating just how strong Sanji is. And I mean intuitively, I kind of understand why. Because firstly, he's not like Luffy who's always facing the strongest person in the room. So you can't always directly see how strong he is. And I mean he's not like Zoro who's always at least training and who routinely withstands some of the most brutal events in the entire series. As a matter of fact, for most of the post-time skip, Sanji hasn't really been shown to do anything much that would make him stand out in terms of strength. And when he does stand out, it's usually for things like the infamous nosebleed on Fishman Island, which literally almost killed him. So because of this, a lot of fans have been chronically underestimating Sanji, when in fact he's amongst the ranks of the strongest characters in the series. So let us see if we can properly clear up how strong Sanji actually is. And note, all the values I'll be using will be referenced from my How Strong is Gear 5 Luffy video, so you can check that out to see how we got them. And even though I will be using values, remember the most important thing to get from the video is always the hierarchy. So with that said, let's get into it. Now, before we get into the actual scaling process, I'd just like to remind you about some of the cool feats that Sanji has done that we won't be focusing on but still deserve to be mentioned. So at Alabasta, he's easily kicking a giant crocodile into the air, and then at Skypiea, he had his own nothing happened moment when he head on took a large lightning attack from Enel and then basically just said thanks for the light, but your aim is pretty bad. After this at Thriller Bark, we saw where he was able to deflect an attack from Oars, causing a huge shockwave throughout the mansion. Then at Fishman Island, we see where Wadatsumi, the tiger blowfishman, who even in his normal non-inflated state is 80 meters tall, and when he inflates gets much bigger. Sanji was able to one-shot him with his Hell Memories kick, setting Wadatsumi's entire gigantic body on fire in the process. And at Whole Cake Island, we saw where Sanji was able to move so fast that he was able to blitz Oven without Oven even being able to perceive him, followed by catching Chiffon before she could even touch the ground, and then get out of there before anyone could even realize. So Sanji has had some pretty cool moments. Now, Sanji's opponent in Wano was Queen, and before his genetic awakening, he was basically unable to do any significant damage to Queen at all. We see this from the start, where Sanji's Muton shot and Zoro's Purgatory Onigiri was literally stated by Queen to have done absolutely no damage at all. Then this fact was reinforced throughout the fight, for example with Queen taking a direct grill shot from Sanji, and again, he literally just laughs it off, calling it impressive for a regular kick. Even Sanji himself emphasizes that he was basically getting nowhere at all because of Queen's toughness. As a matter of fact, before Sanji awakened, this was such a casual experience for Queen that he was literally just playing around with Sanji, trying to get Sanji to use the raid suit, like he literally stated this. So it was made crystal clear to us that Sanji didn't really stand a chance against Queen before his awakening. But post-genetic awakening, which gave Sanji an exoskeleton enhanced super strength and drastically enhanced his speed, we see where an Ifrit Jam Sanji was now doing significant damage to Queen with each hit. And with his final attack, Buf shot, Sanji not only completely knocked Queen out, but he was even able to launch him far into the skies of Onigashima. So there's no doubt that Sanji had gotten way stronger than Queen. So of course, to figure out how strong Sanji is, we need to figure out how strong Queen is. And the short answer to that question is, Queen is stronger than Jack, who in turn is at least on Doflamingo's level, who in turn is stronger than Cracker's armament haki coated Biscuit Warrior. Now note, I'm referencing Cracker's Biscuit Warrior specifically, not Cracker himself. So that's your answer, and we could basically just end the video there. However, let's actually get into why we know this is the case and what it means in concrete terms for Sanji's strength. So Cracker's armament haki coated Biscuit Warrior was completely unaffected by Luffy's armament haki coated Gear 2 Hawk Gatling. Luffy himself even commented just how strong the haki coating was. And again, even Luffy's stronger Gear 3 armament haki coated Elephant Gun did absolutely no damage to Cracker's Biscuit Warrior whatsoever, and Luffy was easily overpowered. So we know that an armament haki coated Biscuit Warrior is durable enough to completely tank Gear 2 and Gear 3 attacks from a post-Dressrosa Luffy, and from our reference video, we know that a post-Dressrosa Luffy Gear 2 and Gear 3 attack is at least large country level. So given that we know that Queen is more durable than an armament haki coated biscuit warrior, that's our lowest possible attack potency for a post-genetic awakened Sanji who defeated Queen. However, we see where a Kongon, which is a base attack from Gear 4 Luffy, was able to completely shatter the biscuit warrior's shield and was able to overpower an attack from and shatter the biscuit warrior itself. So this is where we now go to Doflamingo, who we know is more durable than the biscuit warrior, given that unlike the biscuit warrior, he was able to receive multiple Gear 4 attacks without being knocked out. So again, given that we know that a Dressrosa Gear 4 Luffy's base attack is at least multi-continental, Queen, who is more durable than Doflamingo, also has an at least multi-continental durability, and thus Sanji, the person who stomped Queen down, has an at least multi-continental attack potency. And then we know that Jack is at least on Doflamingo's level for multiple cumulative reasons. Firstly, Jack's bounty is 1 billion, whereas Doflamingo's frozen bounty is only 340 million. Now yes, bounties can be tricky, and in some instances the main consideration isn't strength. However, we do know that barring special instances, the general trend is that the higher your bounty is, the stronger you are. And yes, 340 million is Doflamingo's frozen bounty, and thus it wouldn't accurately reflect his true strength. However, again remember, once your bounty reaches 300 million, it is very difficult for your bounty to increase any further. And to put this into perspective, Jinbe, who was a former warlord of the sea like Doflamingo, when he met up with Luffy in Wano, was 438 million. Then, the bounty that Luffy got after he beat Doflamingo was only 500 million. Jack's bounty was still double that of post-Dressrosa Luffy's bounty. So that bounty difference suggests that saying that Jack is not at least on Doflamingo level doesn't really hold up. Secondly, Jack was actually the one tasked with rescuing Doflamingo. And remember, even Doflamingo is afraid of the beast pirates. In his speech to Suru, he literally says that his defeat will unleash the monsters of this world. Now this is an obvious reference to the beast pirates, of which Jack is one of the all-stars or lead performers, which are the 3 top members of the beast pirates, only below Kaido, the captain and emperor himself. And again, remember, your position in the beast pirates is based solely on your skill, so Jack would have had to earn and maintain his spot. And again, thirdly, Jack is not only a fishman who are 10 times stronger than normal humans from birth, but he's even an ancient Zoan user. And remember, ancient Zoan users are specifically known for their physical strength and durability. And also yes, if it wasn't somehow obvious to you, the Vivricars do confirm that Jack is able to use armament haki. And by the way, a lot of persons like to bring up Jack's losses as a way of trying to argue that he's actually weak. But let's actually take a look at a few of Jack's losses. So Jack's first loss was against a convoy of 4 marine warships stated to have enough power to destroy a country and which had on it a former Fleet Admiral Sengoku, a current Marine Admiral Fujitora, and a Vice Admiral Suru. For perspective, a single Admiral Green Bull was able to casually defeat both Queen and King together with a single hand. Calling Jack somehow surviving this encounter and coming back with minor injuries, a loss which makes him weak, is a bit disingenuous. And another of Jack's losses was after him by himself fighting an army of Sulong transformed minks, who remember are natural born fighters from birth and who can produce and control electricity, and whose ranks included both Sulong transformed Cat Viper and Dogstrom. And remember, Dogstrom is capable of doing at least superficial damage to Kaido. And by the way, Jack by himself defeated most of the Sulong warriors that were ganging up on him, and Kaido himself says that the reason that Jack lost was not because he was weak, but rather because the minks are strong. So again, trying to downplay Jack here is a bit disingenuous. So there's no doubt that Jack is at least as durable as Doflamingo, but then we know for a fact that Queen is way stronger than Jack, because Jack routinely gets chewed out by Queen and King, something which always surprises even Jack's crew, given that they know Jack's strength and his psychopathic personality. Remember, Jack is a guy that is wild enough to challenge a convoy having 4 marine warships, an admiral, a former fleet admiral, and a vice admiral. And when Jack is faced with these constant beratements from Queen, such as names like Jack the Stooge, Jack himself maintains a respectful tone, apologizing to them while calling them big brothers. And again remember, Queen like Jack is the user of an ancient Zoan devil fruit, who are specifically known for their durability. So we know that Queen is way stronger and more durable than Jack. However, we don't have any way to quantify how much stronger than Jack Queen is. So in values, we can only leave post-awakening Sanji at the multi-continental attack potency we got from Dressrosa with the Doflamingo comparison. But we don't have to stop there, because remember, we can still compare Sanji to Zoro and King. Now, even though we don't know how much stronger than Queen King is, we know that they should at least be comparable. Remember, we know the rankings in the Beast Pirates are based on strength, and Queen is the third highest ranked Beast Pirate, only behind the Captain Kaido and King the First Mate. And again, King and Queen's bounties are very close, with King being 1.39 and Queen being 1.32. And as we already pointed out, even though Jack is afraid of Queen and King and Queen themselves converse as if they were equals. And we have also seen where King's air slashes, which was shown to be pushing Zoro around and which Zoro himself called very powerful, Queen got hit by one of these air slashes and was more annoyed than hurt. So even though we know that King is stronger and more durable than Queen, especially given his Lunarian lineage, all the information we have suggests that they should at least be comparable. And then, if you watch my Zoro video, you'll note that I broke down Zoro's Wano feats into 3 levels. So at a base level is a Kaido damaging level, where we saw that Zoro was able to consistently operate on a level where he could damage Kaido before his Conqueror's Haki awakened. Then, mid-level is Conqueror's Infusion awakened Zoro, where with it, he was basically able to beat King in 3 shots, when prior to this, even while King's flame was off, he wasn't able to even draw a single drop of blood from King. Then, at a max level is a Kaido scarring level, which remember, is his Conqueror's infused max level 9 sword style Ashura, which Kaido said would give him a permanent scar. And remember, the only person who gave Kaido a permanent scar before that was Oden. And we know that throughout the story, Sanji has generally been portrayed as a kind of a rival to Zoro. At Enies Lobby, Sanji's opponent was Jabra, who had a Doriki of 2180, and Zoro's opponent was Kaku, who had a Doriki of only 20 more at 2200. And remember, even Kaku and Jabra had their own little rivalry going on, with Jabra thinking that with the addition of his Devil Fruit, he's stronger than Kaku. Then, immediate post-time skip at Sabodi Archipelago, one of their first interactions that we saw was Zoro and Sanji competing to see who could take down a pacifista first and arguing about who dealt the finishing blow. Then yet again, even at the beginning of their fight against the All-Stars, Sanji versus Queen and Zoro versus King was directly juxtaposed. So even though there are contentions within the community, with some people thinking that Sanji and Zoro are equals, whereas others thinking that Sanji is definitely weaker, regardless of the specific levels you think they're at, we know for a fact that the story presents them to be at least comparable. Thus, even if you were to underestimate Sanji, he should still at least be comparable to Zoro's weakest significant level. So that still puts him at a Kaido damaging level in terms of attack potency. But what does it mean to be at the level where you can actually damage Kaido? Well, remember, upon just entering Wano before learning advanced armament Haki, Luffy, even while in his strongest form Gear 4 and going all out, could not do any damage to Kaido at all. Like, to put this into further perspective so you actually understand what this means. Remember, this beginning of Wano arc Luffy is a Luffy who we know was acknowledged by Katakuri to be on his level and who eventually beat this same Katakuri. Yet this at least Katakuri level beginning of Wano arc Luffy could not do any damage to Kaido. So a post-genetic awakening Sanji is at least stronger than an Act 1 Luffy and characters on Act 1 Luffy's level like Katakuri. Now note, this is a max level underestimation of a post-awakening Sanji, because if a post-awakening Sanji were only at this level, it would mean that even while King's Flame is off, like Zoro before he awakened, Sanji would not even be able to draw a single drop of blood from King. Like, even if you think King and Zoro are stronger than a post-awakened Sanji, that is still probably taking it a bit too far. Now in Wano, we have also seen where a post-awakened Sanji was also able to move so fast that Queen was not able to see him. Now the first thing you need to understand is that the perceptual limits of characters in the real world is not the same as the perceptual limits of characters in fiction, and I've already made a whole video about this, as well as other silly related claims, such as saying that you can't move at light speed or faster than light speed in fiction, so you can check that out if you didn't already understand those concepts. So now with incredulity out of the way, understand that every character in One Piece has their own level of speed that they can perceive. So for example, Sanji speed blitzed Wan so fast that Wans could only see 10 of Sanji's kicks, when in fact Sanji had actually kicked him 12 times. And as Sanji pointed out, the reason why Wans was not able to see all 12 of the kicks was because he was too weak. And thus obviously, the stronger you get, the faster the speeds you are able to track. So for example, at Water 7, initially, Blueno was so fast compared to what Luffy could track at the time, that when Blueno moved using Zoro, from Luffy's perspective, it seemed as if Blueno had just disappeared. But after Luffy got stronger and came back to challenge Blueno at Enies Lobby, a base Luffy was now able to easily track all of Blueno's movement and also was now even faster than him at base. So to really understand how fast Sanji is moving, you need to know the level of speed that Queen can track. Now, I won't be giving you a specific value, I'll just be establishing the perspective here. So remember, even an immediate post time skip base Luffy was easily able to track a light speed beam and considered it too slow. And Queen perceptual level is obviously not below that of an immediate post time skip base Luffy. Also, Queen was clearly shown to be able to see Marco's movement. And remember, Marco is fast enough to easily intercept Kizaru's lightspeed beads after they had been fired and before they reached the Whitebeard. And again remember, even Sanji's brother Ichiji was shown to have outsped his own lightspeed lasers. And remember, most of the Sanji vs Queen match was Sanji easily dodging multiple lightspeed beams, and Queen was always able to track Sanji and was also easily able to grab him mid-motion. So Queen is obviously able to perceive things that move way above light speed. But yet, even with this, a post-awakening Sanji was able to maintain such a fast sustained motion that Queen could no longer track him when he was easily doing so before. So needless to say, Sanji is moving pretty fast. Now, before I go, I also wanted to briefly highlight Sanji's durability and regenerative capacity. So as we said before, post-genetic awakening, Sanji got a hardened exoskeleton, and it is so durable that even a full force sword attack from Queen caused the sword to shatter, and Sanji himself didn't even move. He merely said ouch, like this was a direct attack with obviously no blocking of a sharp cutting object, and all it could do was make Sanji say ouch. And remember, it was even specifically highlighted to us that he wasn't even using armament haki. It was purely his exoskeleton durability. So Sanji's exoskeleton makes him pretty durable. But what's even more impressive is his regenerative ability. Like remember, Queen applied so much pressure to Sanji that the entire left half of his chest and most of his abdomen, as well as his entire left leg, became paper thin. Like for those of you who don't remember the anatomy of your chest and abdomen, this is how crowded it actually is. So Sanji being squeezed this thin doesn't mean that only his bones were broken, but rather his left lung would have exploded and deflated, his heart and aorta, which is the major artery coming off the heart, would have been ruptured and compressed such that the heart would no longer be able to pump blood throughout his body, and his abdominal organs like his left kidney and spleen and his intestines would have been ruptured. Also, his vertebral column, which are the bones around his spine, would have been compressing his spinal cord to the point where neurologic function should have given out and he should have no longer been able to move. So that is what you're actually seeing in this panel of this Sanji that has been squeezed paper thin, not just broken bones. And this is what Queen was explaining to Sanji before the move was done. Yet Sanji somehow not only stayed alive with all these injuries, but he even says it only stings a bit and that he can move just fine, which remember shouldn't even be possible in the first place given the damage he sustained. But then in no time at all, he literally just instantly healed all that damage, like just instantly, just like that. So Sanji's healing factor is actually pretty amazing, and I can't wait to see Oda push it to its limit. But anyway, that's a breakdown of Wano Sanji, guys. Hopefully this helped to provide a little more clarity on just how strong a post-awakening Sanji is. And let me know what you thought of the video in the comment section down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you liked the video. But anyway, see you guys next time.